Whenever I wanted something to be followed and something to be done, he was my right hand. He would run and do whatever he would make. So his death, again, going back to it, was
setback.
Yeah, a big one. Having that, I'd lost my dad, I'd also lost my lawyer, and lost my son. And they all died almost the same kind of a period, because one was 2011, the other one is 2013, and 2013 I lost my lawyer and my son. And it was very difficult. Very difficult.
Hello, good people. Susie Ledadem, living positively regardless. Doesn't matter the point at which you are in life, but you rock positivity all the way. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for keeping it at Susie Ledadem. Thank you for sharing my content, and also thank you for subscribing. If you've not subscribed, kindly, I'm still requesting that you subscribe. Wow, tuko in January and it's so cold. It's too cold for me out here. I hope, Nini, how is your weather? Are you feeling cold where you are? But tutakunywa chai, we shall take coffee, tununue warm jumpers, and we keep ourselves warm. Please keep yourself warm. Also keep yourself safe, and let us all pray for our nation, Kenya. So much happening in our country. Let us pray for our nation, Kenya. Of course, my people, if you want to share your testimony at Susie Ledadem, where to find me at Susie Ledadem, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok. You can inbox me in there, and also you can contact us through our numbers. And so today, I'm just giving a continuation. Thank you for watching the previous video. We are here with Reverend Nathan Maringa, and he came here previously, I think, for those who watched like 6 or 7 months ago, and he was sharing with us how he went to prison, and he went to prison for a mistake that he never committed. Imagine, he was accused of defilement. That's a very serious offense in our nation. And imagine, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and it's something that he was innocent about. He had not committed that crime. But Sharia ni Sharia. So he was imprisoned, and I hope you have already listened to his video. You have already heard him, that his story, actually, the story of Reverend Nathan has its ups and downs, because he started by telling us the powerful ministry he had in the gospel, like how God powerfully used him, how God saw him winning souls to Christ, bringing people to having a relationship that would make them get their healing in Christ. And now, kaboom, it happened that he has been accused of a rape. And kidogo, in prison, he was imprisoned. I hope you have listened to that story. So that story went part 1, part 2, part 3. I don't know if you missed any part of it. So it is, I think we aired it like 6 months ago. And now there is so much that Reverend was talking about, because as we did the video, of course, he was already outside the prison, and he was sharing with us how that meant and what that meant to him. And I was just asking Reverend, I was asking him, how did you manage to come out of this, like forgiving these people? And also there's so much that he did not even share on that video, the previous videos that you have watched. And I was wondering, how did you overcome this, and you're now back in the ministry and all that? And I didn't know there was so much. Now, me, I was getting scared of what I was listening, but I didn't know there was so much other things that he went through while in prison. Because in prison, Nathan lost his son when he was still in prison, and he was not allowed to come and bury him. He lost his dad while in prison, and he was not allowed to come and bury him also. He lost his lawyer. And you can imagine all these crazy things happening. First of all, you've been accused of defilement, such a serious offense when you're a minister of the gospel. And then when you're in there, you lose your child. He lost his son. Then when you're in there, you lose your dad. And he was telling us and explaining that he felt the guilt, like he killed his own dad, because he was imagining that the dad could not imagine his son is in prison. So he was feeling like he was the cause of the death of his dad, because when his dad realized that this was getting as serious as him being imprisoned, given a sentence of 20 years in prison. So he started erring. And I can imagine for any parent, when your child is already there, now they have become a pastor, he's getting high ranks in church. And so you're very hopeful, you're proud of your son. All of a sudden, everything turns upside down. I can imagine that must have been so heavy for his dad. And yes, the dad started getting sick and he didn't manage. He was not able to hold that disappointment. And of course, with age, such a big stressful issue coming in his life. So today again, we have Reverend Nathan telling us about that and how he was able to handle that and how his wife was able to also help and assist him in all these issues, because he says that now, and of course it was obvious, now he's not home. Behind the dogs, what else do you do? It's only the wife who could take up the role of the husband in the house, the father in the house, and Keta even check everything that a home needs when there is a man and when there is a woman. So she took all the roles there of the man and the woman in the house. And so, guys, if you've not watched the previous videos, maybe so that you're able to connect these two things, you're able to understand why he went to prison into details. And now you hear he's encouraging us and sharing it with us that despite the weight of the pains, despite what you're going through, because you can imagine losing a son, losing a dad, and you're not even able to bury them. Man, these are things that can kill someone in depression. You can die in depression. Unforgiveness, you feel you're not able to forgive yourself. You feel not able to forgive those people who have taken you into prison. But here he is, he's giving us a different side of the story, that you can heal, you can live without depression, and also you can continue with the life, because what has happened has happened. There's no way to reverse it. Some of these things in life, we cannot reverse them, but now you have to live and live to your purpose that the Lord has called you for, because every one of us, we have a purpose in life. So I'll not talk much about it, because I want he himself to come and get us into it. And so that there's so much that he was explaining to me behind the camera, and I was finding it like, wow, maybe somebody is there and they are going through these things and they're not able to figure out if they will ever come out of it, if they will ever heal out of this pain. And so today we've come to tell you, yes, you have lost your dear husband, you have lost your wife, you have lost your son, you have lost a sibling. Yes, it is possible for you to come out of this story. So without further talks, karibuni sana to listen to this story. Now, when you were in prison and you went all this, like you lost your son, you lost your dad, and you're feeling like you failed your children, they're not performing in school. Your wife, I can imagine what she was handling all this time.
I couldn't have just let it go. And even today, at times I sit and think of those things that he went through when I was not present, and those things that I thought we could have done, and feel like I didn't really serve my dad to the end as I was. It wasn't very easy. It was really terrible.
Wow.
The same with my son, because though he was marked, when he died, there were things that would have been done following the matter, looking for who did what, when, and why could this happen. And there was nobody to trace that. And the only thing I could do in prison is to tell my wife and the rest not to struggle with this, because I knew it was too heavy for them. I could tell how difficult it was, until at times it was very traumatizing, thinking of what they're trying to trace and not having really tangible areas to go for. And that was also another difficult thing. I felt I'm not really taking care of my family, as I should. I'm not really handling everybody as they should be handled. And that was very difficult for me. At times I would miss food. because I don't feel like I would eat. Appetite is gone. And missing food in prison is a crime. And it's a crime on top of another.
Oh.
And therefore, it was very hard. It was very hard. I thank God that I went through those 2 difficult periods with the help of the Lord. And God actually kept encouraging my heart. He's really a comforting Father. When it looked like life is gone, He kept on reviving me. That's the match I was. Actually, I wouldn't have wanted to think that my dad would go as fast as he did. He was strong. He was healthy in many ways and in terms of thinking. But when he was struck with a mind that I'm rotting in prison, that made him go to depression, and it was very hard. It was bad for me.
Wow. When you went to the prison, how did it affect like your wife, how the wife and the children? How was it for them?
That we didn't know that this would happen. And I remember that morning we had talked with my wife and had shared that I'm going to attend the court, and it seemed a mention. And I left some programs, like I said. And I remember her first words when I told her, now I'm in prison and I'm in for 20 years. And she first screamed, not really screaming as per, a fighter, but she said, oh no. And 20 years, and then she kept quiet. I didn't know what she was going through. And then I was left in a situation I didn't know how to do it, because she wasn't with me. She was at home and she was waiting for me to go back. And it was normal. I would go to court for 3 years and go home in the afternoon and share what we have gone through. And this time I'm in. And I told her to come pick the phone, take my ID. And she was like, ooh, and that spoke volumes. Volumes, because I knew that when one gets something that they were not expecting, as a minister would tell, that has become already very stressing. It was actually very difficult. My children, even when the case came in, were really traumatized. They were in school, and the other students knew about the father, who is a minister, father of Gideon, father to Mercy, who is a minister, and now in a case. And now I'm imprisoned. It was like they thought initially I would fight and overcome, but now I am already in. And it was very hard for them, to an extent that Gideon, my son, was not didn't really perform as he would, and he deteriorated very much. He was a very sharp boy, and at Kenyaga High School, and he would have performed very well, but this actually became a fight. Everybody at Kenyaga, and I was in the other, in fact, just adjacent parish, and so information was like landing on him every other minute. And students again talking, how students can speak, the peers sometimes can be very stressful. And it was very difficult. I didn't know how to reach them, because they were not coming to see me as I thought they would. But again, they are in school, and times to come were scarce. So my children didn't really have time to come and see me. I would have talked to them, and I would even talk to them positively, knowing that they have life to carry. So it wasn't very easy. Actually, it harmed my son, and especially Gideon, because Gideon was such a character that kept on coming very close to me, learning and wanted to emulate everything that I was doing. And he he was very hopeful that dad is such a leader, and learning from him becomes, even today he keeps on coming and asking me advices. So meaning that he really depended on me. And my imprisonment, it was like cutting the mentor, cutting the force that he would actually cling on, and he went down. However, he performed well. He had a B, but that was not what we were seeing from him. We were seeing an A, and we thought he would make it to higher levels.
Yeah.
For Mercy, it was also very devastating. It was very difficult. She felt security is not there, and they all had to go back to the mother, and it wasn't very easy for Gideon to go and listen to the mother as much. And it was, they kept on looking like they are fighting and looking like the mother is not really doing the right thing. And Gideon, unlike Joshua, who was mature and focused already, he knew that he is becoming a minister. He had gone even to college, and he was now ready to take care of the brother and the sister. And Joshua was a little bit stable, and he could see that this is not the end. I remember him speaking to me. He visited me once and telling me, Dad, you're coming out, and coming out in a big way, and you're coming out to minister, and many will be surprised. He kept on speaking positive things, and I could use him whenever I wanted something to be followed and something to be done. He was my right hand. He would run and do whatever he would make. So his death, again, going back to it, was
setback.
Yeah, a big one. Having that, I already I'd lost my dad, and also lost my lawyer, and lost my son. And they all died almost the same kind of a period, because one was 2011, the other one is 2013, and 2013 I lost my lawyer and my son. And it was very difficult. It was very difficult.
What was it that prevented? Is it that in prison you're not allowed to go bury your loved one, especially a son? Ama, what was happening?
They don't say no. They don't say that you can't go. Actually, it looks like you can, because you have right.
Yeah.
And those are some of the rights that we were trying to fight when we were inside. I'm sorry that today I've not managed to access the courts again, fight for the same, because it's very important, especially when loved ones and the close family members, when they have gone, it is always important to see the family coming together. Whether he would go in chains, and at times they try to do that, because I'm told that they try to secure either you or whoever would want to maybe those who would come fight for you, not to really have access over you. It's like if you'd be released, go see them, would need a lot of security. For me, to look like it was a little bit soft, and only that now procedure didn't have anybody to follow. Because they had a trust in me. They trusted that I wouldn't mess anything, and it didn't. Grounds were also comfortable. Nobody was fighting me on the ground, and it looked like I could go. But process to go through that was very difficult. Plus now the security that it would demand was also very difficult to get. And that made me not to attend any of the two burials, or even the third one, though looking like they were very close people to me.
Wow. That was quite something. And guys, in this, Mchungaji is still smiling after all these difficult times that you had to go through. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. And even worse still, knowing that you're going through all that for a mistake that you have not done.
Indeed.
You're even making it look more difficult for forgiving this person, man.
Yes, actually, it wasn't very easy even to forgive. I remember the first 3 years, once you are sentenced, the court tells you so easily, you have 14 days to appeal. And one thinks that in 14 days, you'll have already gone through, your files will be ready and presented that you're able to go to court. But it wasn't so. So the 14 days was ensuring that the application will be accepted, and later now wait for when the court would align you and be called to place your case. And therefore my first appeal went for 3 years. Actually, I waited for 3 years to get to court after I was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. And that first period, I hated everybody who accused me. Anybody that stood against me, I felt I should not relate with them. And because this time the case was about rape, and rape that I had not, I hated women. And I felt every woman actually should not be faced by me or should not face me. We should not have time to square anything with that woman. And I felt that would be. So the first, I was in bitterness. And for 3 years, I didn't want even officers, women, talk to me. And they're there. I was like, any woman is evil. And there was hatred, a heavy hatred, and I was bitter about them. Until when my appeal didn't go through, the first appeal, and was again attended by a woman, justice, who didn't really go through my grievances and didn't go through the grounds that I had presented. And here I am now again in prison, and I felt, women, God spoke to me at that time. Spoke to me in a very loud voice. You know, prison is also a very good place where you would face God, have time to seek his face, and because nobody is actually caring for you, and the only place you would face is at the wall, and tell God, come tell me what to do. And God started speaking about ministry, and that's why I started having hope that I'm coming out after the flopping of the first appeal. And when I looked at the file, looked at what the judge had said, and adding sections of law that really didn't accuse me, I felt, this is now ending up to what had happened. And you know, once you have gone through the first appeal, whatever matter that has been handled by the courts and in the case becomes a matter of law. So I started now arguing my rights, and I didn't want to have anybody now to mediate. I didn't want to have an advocate and nobody now to start mediating. And therefore I wrote my grounds, presented the court, they were accepted, and therefore I started waiting for the second appeal. And now at that wait, that's when God healed my heart. That's when I learned that it was important to forgive. That's when I learned that I also had women in my own house. I had my daughter, I had my wife, and I had to live with them, because again, those were only people who were actually standing with me. My family didn't leave me, even when it was very hard, when it was looking like very difficult, when everybody thought that my wife is leaving me. She stood with me and kept me informed of everything that was happening and handling matters that were very difficult. And therefore I felt I have friends, and who my wife, and in the family, then my daughter was there. And God asked me, if you went back, because I've not finished with you, are you going to leave your family? And when I said no, God told me, then you will not minister to men alone. You will minister to women too. You'll handle their matters. At times you'll go to issues that are very difficult, harder than what you are handling, and therefore have to forgive. And I remember a night I went through in tears, forgiving Edakit, forgiving those people who are coming on my way. And in the morning I was relieved, and I rested assured that I am now going to overcome. Actually, I got convicted that the moment I face the judges, I'll be through with my case.
Wow.
That's how I started writing areas that I need to go through and present them to the judges when they come. I had already laid the grounds. Wow, and I thank God.
Wow.
I was relieved from within, and that was setting me free.
Wow.
And I started getting free from prison when the inner me was actually set free. I started embracing everybody. To an extent, I would face the press, I would talk about what I've gone through, and I would talk about forgiveness. That's when I started talking about letting go everything and not minding who and what they wanted to do and who was doing it on me. And I thank God that I forgave and forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot because today, if we met, we would laugh together.
Wow.
We would praise God. They praised God, and I would praise God with them. They faced some difficult times. The family also underwent very heavy times. And I remember seeking the face of the Lord for them, asking God to also care for them and not harm them because of me. I knew God could also fight, and he fought them, but I didn't want that.
Wait a minute.
I didn't want revenge.
You're saying you prayed for this family that had put you in prison.
That God may forgive them, that God may have mercy upon them, and that God may heal their situation. So when I see some of them doing good in life, I thank God.
Wow.
I really thank God. And I feel bad when I remember those who actually left this world in those times when I was going through very difficult times. Some just died deaths that were not really good. And one of them died having come from job and entering his house and in the presence of his family, he died. And I felt God is punishing this family. And I asked God not to let them suffer anymore. And God is faithful. He preserved them.
Wow.
And I want to trust that he's still doing it, making them prosper and see the glory of the Lord. Because their success will be my success, even when they did wrong to me.
Guys, what do you think about that? Praying, this place of praying for your enemy or your accusers, because now you don't want to call them your enemies, because even when you feel they have really hurt you, you want to tell the Lord, please bless these people for me. Let them know that I serve a God who is merciful, who is able even to forgive them. That is wonderful. I love the space of God in your life, because you are narrating something heavy and then all of a sudden you're lighting up and saying, but God came. And then it looks like it is looking so real how God wipes our tears and our pains. Let me ask you, did you get that time like to sit them down before you were in prison to tell them, you know, I'm accused of this, but this is my position?
Oh yeah. Actually, whatever went through my life was actually open to my children.
Okay.
I never hid anything to them. We shared even when there were some of them, like Mercy was small, and Gideon was in high school, and but Joshua was a little bit big. But whatever we started facing, because they were, it happened. My children were schooling in places that I kept on visiting, so we were known, and we were influential. We were also speaking, counseling the school and like that. And so whatever fell on me, they needed to get the explanation.
Okay.
And because they knew also the other family, and they knew the person who was complaining, and they knew even the times when those things were, the accusation dates and all that were happening, they were with me. So there was nothing to really keep away from them. So we were walking life together. We kept on praying for each other. And actually it's prayer that has kept us as a family. Because even what held them together and made them go through this big difficult time was times for prayer, times to hold hands, and therefore they felt, even when I was far, that I'm a part of them. And therefore, other than becoming ashamed to them, I was like holding hands and they were fighting the fight that I was taking.
Oh.
Yes.
So now, after all this pain that you went through, how did you come now? I know you're telling me a prayer, but have you let go the pain that, okay, even if I was out, there's nothing I would have done to prevent the death of my son. And maybe you would have fought to know what happened. Have you forgiven yourself, and how did you forgive yourself out of all this?
But I thank God. It has been very hard to accept that everything happened when I was helpless. And many a times I felt like it's me who is exposing my people to those difficult times. And every normal person will tend to think that he is in a position or she's in a position to help until when you go through a period when you have nothing to do. And when I learned that I had nothing to do to help these people, to save them from the situation, I didn't have anything else to do other than to accept what I'm going through is not easy and I am helpless. And therefore, let God take over. The fact that I knew the Lord with that depth, we helped me a lot not to finish myself, because I suffered very stressful times when I was casing, when I was outside, than when I went in. And when I left the pulpit and I went to be with my family and I didn't know what to do. It looked like everybody is looking at me as a person who is very evil, and you're facing them. They're talking to you. You are hearing what they're saying. That was very stressful to a point that one day I suffered hiccups that were very heavy, and going to the hospital, they said it was good that I ran to the hospital because that was stress and it was acute. And after they treated me, they told me what to do with myself and accept what I'm going through. And that helped me to start understanding that I'm going through a very difficult time. That was before I was sentenced. And now, having gone in and I've left my people helpless, God helped me very quickly to talk to my wife and told her to take my trouser and wear. She became the husband and the wife at the same time. The man and the woman decide and make everything that is supposed to be done, not really relying on me because I'm limited. And I also asked her, when things look like they are really difficult, she should not fear, come and share with me, and I would be happy to tell what I could. But now, in terms of at times matters that are urgent and like that, they needed her to actually come in and handle them and like that. Now, all that what was landing in me as having left my people and not having them with anybody who would help them, and was a very heavy thing. But when I realized that I'm in for an issue that I really didn't do, I started asking God to not only accuse others, but forgive me for carrying the load and going through that time, because it wasn't very easy. And I started asking God to wash my life, wash me, cleanse me, my thinking, my feelings, my attitude, my situation. Because again, finding myself in prison, it's not everybody that will be convinced that I had not done wrong, that I'm not a rapist. And in fact, I was wondering, why would I be called a rapist? What was I missing? What could make me, look like I would take advantage of any woman? I felt I was messing. I know I messed everybody, because I wouldn't assume that my wife was also not feeling like I am accused of what maybe I could do. And therefore there was all that, and I accused myself for so many things, and I had to run to forgive myself. And it wasn't very easy. It wasn't something just to say I'm walking over. When I sat alone, many times I kept on asking God, what do I do with myself? Because again, I would feel condemned. I would feel accused. I would feel not viable, not worthy again. And many times I kept on asking God, do I continue? Do I continue? A journey that I'm still walking through many times, even today.
Okay. Wow. So it takes a journey where you forgive yourself, where you feel, I failed as a son, I failed as a dad, I failed as a husband. You're saying it takes the place of, first of all, forgiving yourself. Then you accept that this is what is happening and you start walking the journey with God. Wow. Praise be to God that finally your second appeal went through.
Yes.
And now you coming out.
Yes.
Of course, for you, you're not thinking, I need more time to be here, because here at prison there is more security than out here.
Actually, I was fighting for my freedom. As I was also fighting for others. Because in prison, I started involving myself in helping people to handle their cases, writing the grounds for their cases, and looking for what they have been handling and what they have gone, what they have been accused for, and try to help them to come out. And because of that, I started attending some classes through some people that come and help people to handle cases for others. One of them is Kituo cha Sheria. And I got good training on handling and issues, becoming a paralegal, now being a mate, but now able to assist somebody. And I started learning how to handle matters of the law. And to a point even today, when I hear you have a case, I would want to know, are you failing or are you succeeding? And if you are failing, can we help you to succeed? If you're ready also to succeed. And because many times people go to jail because they didn't know what they are going through and what they are able to do. Many of the cases are cases we are able to handle from outside, and they are no case anymore. So prison time was such a pressing time, yes, but at the same time it was also a class.
A learning season.
I learned a lot, things that I would want everybody to learn. In fact, the other day I was asking, is it possible to let everybody pass through prison a short while so that when they come out, they're able to handle matters differently? At times you find people doing things, actually, not knowing how heavy they are, like slapping somebody, like insulting somebody. Such looking small, but very bitter. At times they would end making somebody suffering a quite deal of punishment. And we should educate everybody. And the best school would be maybe handle this person who is going to be helping these people, give them, even if they will not be really prisoners, have time and experience what happens inside, and especially in the docks when you are closed in. When you're closed in, it's not like when you're outside. When the doors are closed, you're different people from the people that are outside when it's not evening. The day for a prisoner starts late and ends early. So you can imagine the time that they are inside is so much.
As you're hearing, you could be doing something small that can lead you to big punishment. That includes making an insult here online. Just coming and commenting anything. You think it's just a comment, but at the end of the day, it can really punish you. So it is also good, guys, to be good to people. If you feel you don't have a positive thing to say, I think for you to avoid the big punishment, it's better you just tell your fingers, don't type. This one, don't type. When the sentence was pronounced, 20 years imprisonment, this is our pastor who has been sentenced. How did that affect the church? Was church injured by that whole scenario?
Let me start by saying, even before the sentence, you see, when accusation comes, people get the news. I was accused and accused when I'm serving. I was in a parish. I was ministering, and things were happening so well. And here a case comes, and a case about a relationship, like about rape. Initially, people don't know what kind of a relationship, but then they they hear that you have a case in court, and it's about a lady in the, it starts there.
Yeah.
And some people got very bitter, very bitter, because they had already banked into what I was giving as things that would help them. And they kept on referring and asking me to help them here and there, and invited for conferences and seminars and all that. And it's like almost every deanery, every archdeaconry were actually inviting me to share with them. There were no conferences being made, most of them without getting me handle a topic or so. And here, as much as they trusted me, I'm accused, and on a very, very hurting case. When it's called rape, it's not everybody that will say, no, my pastor cannot be a rapist. Some will just believe in it, and others will be like, no, it can't happen. And that happens in society.
Yeah.
Some will fight for you, others will never want to hear about you.
Yeah.
Some were rejoicing that I'm accused, and others were not really, really happy about it. To an extent, some stood with me all through, following my case and coming to the courts all through, to a time when I went to the final day when I was told, you are imprisoned. And there were others who were actually facing me and asking me, how could that happen? How can you hurt us like this? It was as that people were bold enough facing me and asking me things that were very bitter. So the division must have been. There are people who were not ready to hear ministers anymore, and at times, thank God that God preserves his people. And at times, I hear of some people who left even Christianity, because they felt, if a clergy can do this, who else is holy? Who is going to heaven? And especially a person that they were really banking on. And I thank God I have visited a few that I have known, and some have come back to their senses and have realized. So about division in the church, that would have happened. And even amongst us, the clergy, some would fight against me, some would even fight against themselves. A drama that continues even today. Even today, when I'm serving and as a senior clergy in the diocese, when I sit in those councils, I have said there are still some times when you find some people come up with some funny stories, and you wonder, do they know what they're saying? And do they know what I've gone through? Do they know what I was going through then? And like that. So such fights are there, divisions are still there, but those should not make us derail our visions or focus. Actually, I have never wanted to sit and discuss those differences. When I learn them, where I can rebuke, I do. Where I cannot, I leave it. I am silent, because I'll not change their mind. Those who thought I'm evil, they will still remain thinking so. Those who thought I was good, they'll still see the good in me. And those who are seeking to see who I was, they learn from me. And I that's it. And it was so kind. Thank God, the churches that I was serving, I visited all of them. All of them have embraced me, including the parish that the accuser had come from. I'm at home ministering the gospel comfortably.
But there is so much that we hear when we're out here. There is bullying, there is all sort of, allow me to call them evil things happening in there. What is your view on that?
Yeah, prison, that's why it's a prison.
Okay.
Prison is called prison because there are people that are already limited and they're in. And many times we try to get people that are not able to be contained in the community to go into prison. So you find all kind of people. It's unfortunate that we also have very innocent people in prison. People who never knew whatever they are accused about, and they are innocent and they are in prison. We thank God for the government. in Kenya that has set prisons in such a way that prisoners inside are at home. They're at home, and they're at home just like they are at home outside.
Okay.
It's a home where one is able to do every good, and every life takes place. And only that you're limited. It's only that your rights are thrashed, but you still have rights, right? Right, like eating, like associating. You can talk, but then prison should be a place where people are corrected. It's not like a school where there's a whip. Initially, people are being harassed by the officers, but today you are not harassed in prison. You are not, unless a situation demands that you have to be given a corporal punishment. There is no sentence that is given for corporal punishment. So today, prison is where you go and you're handling and translating from the life you were and from the actions that you are accused of, and you're going through a process to now revisit yourself, reconstruct yourself, and come out a better person. So in prison, people are handled with a lot of care. And because we have people who are messy, they don't start being messy inside. Those who are rotten, they are rotten even from outside. And they come in when they are still rotten. They come in with their mind and their evil inside. And like I told you the other day, that in prison we have people who are born again, very serious born again, who are actually pointing evil and pointing wrong that are done by the community. They keep on mentioning and telling those things that are said, that people are mishandled, people are harassed by the prisoners. Not really. It's not really so. Because nobody would take you for homosexuality forcibly. And nobody who will actually come and just bullying you, beating you or insulting you aimlessly without any reason. You are sealed from that. You are sealed from that. Actually, even those who are homosexuals, because they are there, they don't show it. They don't. Actually, they know it is evil, it's inhuman. They actually hide as much as they could. They do it as a secret, because if it's known, even the community there condemns you. It's not something that is just a norm. It's not accepted. It's not accepted. Just like we have controverts, people going with bangi and they smoke inside. You find people smoking cigarettes. It's not allowed inside. You find people doing those things. There are those who also have immoral behavior, and it's not also accepted. And when it's caught, you are not only cancelled, but you also it goes through a process that is rearing to help you to come out of it and not to harm anybody else. Many times, young people, when are taken to prison, are taken advantage of, because those who are homosexuals, they are taking men for wives, and so they are finding young boys as younger, tender people to handle. So they keep on wooing. They woo them at times by buying food for them. There is what we call moshino. Moshino is food that is prepared specially, and you have paid for it. In prison, there are those services. You can pay for some food, and it's brought when it's properly done and done in a special way. And at times today you are around to go having a shoe. Everybody has a shoe inside, so you can buy your friend a shoe like that. Just like people behave with ladies outside, people behave that in prison. And if one falls and don't want to be corrected or doesn't want to be helped, then they find themselves in such. But it's not something that is conspicuous. It's not something that will be told. These people have started relating. They hide. They hide. You only notice that they have now reached a point of working together when they start becoming friends, holding hands and able to. And now they pronounce that like they are now mates. Those things happen, and there are people, especially lifers, those who are there for life sentences, tend to take. And especially those who don't think that they will come out, tend to think that they are they are at home with those kind of friends.
Okay.
However, they of late mind is changing because nobody is in prison forever, and no matter the case and no matter the sentence, nobody is in prison forever.
Okay.
Some were condemned, but after a time their sentences are reduced to life sentence, and then after that you find them having taken some time in prison, they go and appeal again, and they are set out, and they come out to serve. Others are just there, and because they are individuals, they still have the animal what? They have a heart that is not humane, and therefore they behave anyhow. And I remember of a case of a person who went and stole a hammer and went with it into the woods and killed a person with a hammer in the morning. Such things happen, but they are mistakes, very serious mistakes, because checks are all over. Checks are done from one level to another level, and in all levels, including prisoners checking their mates, and also officers also taking care and checking those who are inside, until all premises are supposed to be purely safe for everybody to live. So those who are evil, we know them even when we are inside. And like me now, persons that have come from prison, if you visit there, you will tell this is a criminal, this is not a criminal. You can tell this is a harmful person, this is not a harmful person. You can tell who can do what where, even at the look of the face. And even when they come out, they behave the same. There are people who come and they are integrated. There are people who come out and they are still evil and set even to do evil. And it's like that. Just like we have people here who do those nonsense, there are people inside who do those dirty things.
Wow.
Yes.
Here. How was it coming out of the prison? How did people receive you? Did they accept you back like the pastor you were, or they accepted you back like a prisoner?
Before that, I would want to say prison was also a beautiful place.
Oh.
It was. Because it's in prison, I met all kind of people. In prison, I met people who killed. I met people who would break houses, robbers, people that you cannot just access when you're outside. To an extent today, even when I'm an ex-prisoner, I cannot just access them. It is only then, or maybe I go in the dots in the places again and face them in the world, and I managed to reach them, talk to them, and share Christ with them, and I would see souls coming to Christ. To a point today, there are people who are in prison and born again, truly born again. And there are some who are already out. They are serving God. Some already becoming ministers. Actually, some of them are already serving, have congregations. And we met in prison and they knew Jesus Christ. Today, I'm a proud father from prison, having sons that were born in prison and serving Christ. I thank God. It was such a beautiful thing. And it's only in prison that you get guarded like the president. You don't walk alone. And you're sealed from others. And you cannot just access everybody, and they cannot just access you. And they have to get some steps to carry.
If I want to see, you have to have an appointment.
Indeed, seriously.
Oh my goodness.
Now coming out was another good thing, because God had prepared me. First of all, I had forgiven the family that had done me the harm, and I went through the appeal, which I stood on the docks to case, and I remember that 3 judges talking to me, telling me that I asking me whether I had done law, because God gave me grace and favor, that I presented my case and handled the grounds so well that they were wondering whether I had done the law itself. And again, I was ready. I was ready to come and serve the Lord, regardless of being assimilated in the systems or not. I was ready. I was ready to serve the Lord and serve Him. So coming out I was waited for by my family, and I found my wife ready for me. And I didn't have a lot of questions to be asked. I didn't have a lot of trying times again, because we walked together through the times, and she embraced me home. My children were also waiting for me, and therefore coming home, they felt Dad is here with us. And it wasn't very as easy again. Even when they were waiting for me, I didn't know how the community would handle me. I knew that I was not really an enemy to the community, because the 3 years period that I had stayed with them, I could tell that they were not bitter with me. If anything, they were fighting for my success. They were actually standing with me. And I knew that I'm coming back to them. Only that after a long time, and having that I was hearing so many other stories when I was inside. And Makio, it's good to tell the reasoners that when one is in prison, is not away from information. They hear everything that we say outside, and at times they hear it better than one who is outside. And therefore, everything that was spoken, even by people that have not even gone to maybe I have not confronted, I had, and I didn't know how to behave when I come out, and how we will relate with them. But the way I came out, I found people who were ready for me. The church was ready for me, to a point that when we after about 1 month, we had a Thanksgiving service and a come home, where I was escorted by the officers. I was also escorted by the church inside, and it was very good being handed over to the parish, where Venerable Sandy was actually the archdeacon and my vicar. And it was so sweet to find people from all walks of life, from all over the country, coming to give thanks with us. And that was a beautiful gesture. I started there, and the church was not really against me. I thought the church would fight me right from the word go. But the church gave me moments. People kept on, the clergy kept on inviting me as fast as I had come out of prison to preach in their parishes, talk to their people. And I felt, I'm home. And the only setbacks were as much as I was handled with that warm welcome, there were still some bits that were not really welcoming. Like people would talk things that would hurt me, and I would hear them. Like at times there would be some remarks. Even today, there are some things that would happen in the family and in normal talks, as much as we've been working together, and would like trigger the feelings and the memories of being in prison. And those things have been there. I have been there all through. It's like I've said, it's a walk again. And I remember when I came, I faced the bishop's chaplaincy, and I was examined, and they accepted me into the ministry. Then the bishop gave me a good letter that I should wait, though the fields are looking full. I wait for a chance, and I'll be taken back. Then later a story came that the province has concluded anybody from prison cannot serve in the church, and I was like, now what do I do? What is my fate? Bishop has around me to serve, where I'm invited, and I could go do all the sacred things that I'm supposed to do in the church as a minister. And I was like, Bishop, what do I do? And he said, just continue serving as you are doing until such a time when the Lord will be opening other doors. And I got a break to handle matters that were personal. And after I'm through, I'm now ready for the service. And therefore I could be given opportunity to serve. Actually, it's me who kept on telling the Bishop Meru that I was a prisoner. And he said, I knew that even before I called you. And I kept on telling him that I was there for 5 years. It's like, now, why should I be accepted so easily like this? Again, even the province had said, person coming from prison would not be accepted back into this. And he said, no, we can tell that there's so much you can do. And I thank God for Bishop Mwendwa, who really saw what I could do and who saw the potential in me.
Wow.
And that today I am serving and serving confidently, strongly, and well, and hammering what I'm supposed to hammer without any fear.
Wow.
Yes.
You're telling us that sometimes people can reject us until we reject ourselves. Like they had told you cannot serve until when you're given opportunity, you are still remembering that I was in prison.
Indeed. Many people suffer self-accusation. They condemn themselves, they bury themselves, and they're actually rotting because of what they have been thinking others are thinking. And we have so many people that are doing that. And it's very bad to accuse yourself. It's very bad to think that people are thinking evil about you. You don't know their life, you don't know their mind, you can't read it. There's no reason for it. And therefore, many times people do that. And I was actually suffering that. I thought everybody looking at me, when they laugh, they are laughing at me. When they are joking, they are maybe they are talking about me. And I thought, I am condemned and nobody wants me until when I found a bishop telling me there is so much I can do. And walking from that office, I was very strong man, ready to serve. I remember when he told me that you are going to a parish and you will be the vicar in charge. You know, I wouldn't have expected that. Being an old clergy in Anglican, you know that you don't come from those heavy times and you are just given a parish. You go through a process. You are under a person for a period. And here I'm given a parish and I'm vicar in charge. I was like, again, I was wondering, am I going to handle the parish council like I used to? And it was also another class. And I thank God. I thank God that today I'm serving. I'm serving and serving well. Serving as a coordinator for men in the diocese. Those who are elite, those who are low in life, those who are high in all levels, serving also as a director of missions in the diocese, and sitting with the bishop, sitting with the councils of the diocese, in all levels of the diocese. And I really thank God. I don't pride about it. It's by grace. It's the favor of the Lord. One can go heights, even when they have been from levels that are very traumatizing, very low, even when they have been lotting away from the community and when people wanted to bury them, God is able to raise one and make him shine. And I thank God for where I am, and I'm humbled when I'm speaking here, saying God is able.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, this is so powerful. Thank you so much for finding time to share this with us. And I just wish that we can have many moments of sharing such things, because I can see how it's changing from when people are having hard time and when the Lord comes, how the changes happens. I'm so grateful to God for what he has done in your life. And I want to believe you're still going far, because you had, from the previous video we had of the beautiful things and powerful things that God was doing through your life before you got into prison. And now here you are. God has also given you another chance. And like your son said, though now late, but he told you, Dad, you know what? You'll serve God more than you have ever done before. So his words are coming to be, and you will be a great minister. Thank you so much. I don't know whether you have any closing remarks or anything that you've not said that you would want to speak to someone there, especially those that are feeling like, my situation is so desperate. You don't understand my pain. It is so desperate. Talk to that person.
I only would want to say that you should not despise yourself. What you're going through is not the end. And when you condemn yourself, you're finishing yourself. When you accuse others, you're actually ending your own life. But when you forgive, and when you trust in God, walking high, trusting that God is seeing you through, you'll always be a success. Keep shining and have confidence in what you do, hoping in God. God bless you.
I'm excited and emotional at the same time because I'm feeling of the great things that God is able to do, and the situations that are so desperate that God is able to bring them to life. So if you're there and you're feeling that it is so desperate, just hold in there. The best thing you can do is to keep, be alive. Just be alive. anything else, leave it, whether you can change it or just be alive. Because as long as you're breathing, there is a chance for you to smile yet again. But if you cut short your life, if you think the best thing is to take away your life and just die, if you think the best thing is to kill your accusers and all that, you complicate your life for nothing, but just live. Continue living, just breathe and let God be, and He will just give you one day a time to sit, reflect back and smile and tell other people it is possible. God can heal such pains. If not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and let us continue to grow together. For now, bye.